Love for God is going to culminate in love for all living forms. When we recognize that God is within us, then we also realize that God is within everyone else.
With great dedication, Sant Rajinder Singh Ji Maharaj brings a message of hope to people of all faiths all around the world. He is an internationally renowned spiritual master, meditation expert, author, and lecturer. Wherever he goes, he teaches a simple meditation technique, emphasizing that meditation is not only a path to personal peace and spiritual fulfillment, but is also a method of bringing about global peace.
Unless we as human beings find the peace within ourselves, we cannot be at peace with others.
Every year, Sant Rajinder Singh Ji Maharaj presides over international conferences focusing on spirituality and peace. Participants include religious and humanitarian leaders, Christians, Jews, Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Buddhists, and representatives of many other faiths gather in a spirit of fellowship. Sant Rajinder Singh Ji's goal is to promote peace through interfaith dialogue and through prayer and meditation. His efforts have been recognized and praised around the world. According to Sant Rajinder Singh Ji Maharaj, there are two essential components to the spiritual path. The first deals with our inner spiritual relationship with God through meditation.
We find ourselves in a state where our mind is always focused on God, because in that state we will definitely be finding peace and love and joy in our own lives, and will be fulfilling the purpose of our existence, which is to be able to have a soul merge in the Lord, so that we can attain the state of perpetual bliss, of eternal bliss.
The second and equally important component of the spiritual path, he says, is the need to lead our outer life according to the highest ethical values and treat others with love and compassion.
Let us lead a life that God really wants us to lead. A life of caring, a life of helping others, a life of service, a life in which we help the hungry, the thirsty, the ones in pain. And as we invert within, and as we receive God's love, which is within each and every one of us, let us spread that love and light that we receive to each and every one that we come in contact with.
Born in India, Sant Rajinder Singh Ji came to the United States in 1968 and received a master's degree in engineering from the Illinois Institute of Technology. Remaining in the United States, he and his wife raised their 2 children, and he had a 20-year career in electronics and telecommunications. But spirituality was always the main focus of his life. Beginning in his childhood, he practiced meditation under the guidance of 2 renowned spiritual masters, Sant Kirpal Singh Ji Maharaj and Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj. They, as well as their predecessor, Hazur Baba Sawan Singh Ji Maharaj, were, in their time, the masters of a centuries-old spiritual path called Sant Mat. Sant Rajinder Singh Ji Maharaj continues the Sant Mat tradition by teaching its unique form of meditation.
So meditation is a process by which we can journey into the inner spiritual regions, and there's an unfolding of our true self. We start to understand ourselves better. We start to realize that we are a part of God. We start to recognize that we are spirit, we are soul, we are full of the light and love of God. And it is for that purpose that we do meditate, irrespective of whatever faith we belong to, irrespective of whatever languages we speak, whatever countries we belong to.
Medical doctors now prescribe meditation as a means to reduce stress and promote healing. But traditionally, meditation, sometimes called contemplation or silent prayer, has been used as a means of spiritual development. The founders of the world's religions, the saints, prophets, and enlightened souls have left us inspiring accounts of the inner spiritual experiences which they had in heightened and divine states of consciousness. This realm of experience is referred to as mysticism. The writings of the mystics from many religious traditions contain striking similarities. They all include references to inner divine light and sound. According to the Sant Mat masters, this light and sound are aspects of a single current, the divine power that emanated from God and brought all creation into being, and which now serves as the link through which the individual soul can reunite with the Creator. Described by various names in different religious traditions, this light and sound current is the focus of the meditation taught by the Sant Mat masters.
As we read the scriptures of the various religions of the world, as we read the teachings of the great saints and mystics, we find references made to divine light within ourselves. In the Holy Bible it is said, if thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. Reference is being made to the single or the third eye, which is between and behind the two eyebrows. If our attention is totally focused there, we'll experience light, divine light. Light that gives us joy, light that gives us peace, light that gives us happiness.
Sant Rajinder Singh Ji says that the joy and contentment we experience during meditation are carried through into our daily lives. In addition, this meditation can have an impact on how we view and treat others.
And as we connect with the power of God, we recognize that God is everywhere and is in all living forms. And I feel that as an individual, to be able to go within and find that treasure house is a prerequisite for us to be peaceful and lead a life which would be harmonious and loving.
From this spiritual perspective, we see all humanity as our own brothers and sisters in the family of God. Our love for God can be transformed into a love for all creation. To help achieve this goal, Sant Rajinder Singh Ji Maharaj gives talks on inner enlightenment and conducts meditation seminars in all parts of the world.
When we met Sant Rajinder Singh in India last September, we were so impressed by his simplicity, integrity, and very great kindness. Every great religious tradition teaches meditation as the road to peace. And we are so fortunate this evening to be guided on our mystic quest by our friend, Sant Rajinder Singh. His inspiring teaching can lead us to new dimensions, and we thank him for sharing this so generously with us.
According to the Sant Mat path, in the realm of spirituality, just as in any other field of study, one needs an experienced and competent teacher for guidance. Sant Rajinder Singh Ji shares his spiritual message in his books and articles, which have been translated into many languages. And he has reached millions through television and radio broadcasts. He is the head of Sawan Kirpal Ruhani Mission, a non-profit organization with centers in over 50 countries, which hosts regular meditation sessions and other spiritual programs. In the United States, the organization is called Science of Spirituality. Wherever he goes, Sant Rajinder Singh Ji presents meditation as a path to peace. He was invited by the National Ministry of Education in Colombia to speak about developing spiritual values in young people, and was then presented the Colombian Medal of Cultural Merit. He has spoken at the World Conference on Religion and Peace in Italy, the Parliament of the World's Religions in Chicago, and at many other interfaith events. In 1995, in New York, he led thousands of people in meditation at one of the programs honoring the 50th anniversary of the United Nations. And in the year 2000, Sant Rajinder Singh Ji Maharaj led a meditation at the opening of the Millennium World Peace Summit of Religious and Spiritual Leaders held at the United Nations. Mysticism, he says, opens our hearts to others and inspires compassionate action. It's not a path of escapism or renunciation. We can practice meditation in the context of modern life, remain in our respective religions, and fulfill all our responsibilities to our families and communities. Sant Rajinder Singh Ji established an education foundation which has opened numerous schools in India called Darshan Academies. They offer the highest standard of academic education and also focus on the ethical and spiritual development of the students. The curriculum includes classes on nonviolent conflict resolution, comparative religion, ethics, and a period of meditation for students and faculty. As a result of this daily meditation, teachers and parents have noticed improvements in the students' concentration, scholastic performance, and ability to interact harmoniously with each other. At many of the international programs, participants express their love for God through poetry and music in their own cultural tradition. Following a tradition from India, Sant Rajinder Singh Ji bases some of his spiritual discourses on hymns from the scriptures, sung in Indian classical style. The turban he wears is traditional for men brought up in the Sikh faith. In India, his followers call him Maharaji, a term of respect and affection. Some touch his feet, an Indian tradition learned from childhood for showing respect to teachers, parents, and elders. His customary way of greeting others is practiced throughout much of Asia.
Whenever we meet someone, irrespective whether they are from our faith or some other faith, irrespective whether they're older than us or younger than us, we fold our hands and we bow down our head. And to me, there's a great spiritual significance.
Sant Rajinder Singh Ji explains that the individual fingers joining together symbolize people of different religions, nationalities, and races joining together harmoniously. The thumbs point upwards, symbolizing that God is overhead, protecting us all, and that in God we are all truly united. Each person then bows to the other, symbolically bowing to the God residing in the other. This feeling of spiritual unity and loving regard for all truly develops as a direct result of personal experience in meditation. This is the mission to which Sant Rajinder Singh Ji Maharaj has dedicated his life. Each year in Delhi, India, he convenes conferences exploring various aspects of mysticism, prayer, meditation, nonviolence, and peace. People come from all across India and abroad to attend these programs, sponsored by Sawan Kirpal Ruhani Mission. Volunteers work day and night on all the preparations to accommodate the tens of thousands who attend. They serve free meals 3 times a day to everyone, and doctors in several different medical disciplines provide their services without charge. These conferences, held in India and elsewhere throughout the world, are unique settings in which delegates and participants from different nations and religions can meet, share ideas, and develop bonds of mutual respect, friendship, and religious fellowship.
And it'll be a community that shares deep compassion. and deep wisdom. There is no more common language with which we could support the evolution of such a community than the language that we call meditation.
I am a Christian. I am a Franciscan. I come from Assisi, the city of St. Francis, the city of peace. I feel that the Lord today is saying to us, be an instrument of my peace and reconciliation.
A world at peace. A world where we treat each other with respect, compassion, and love. A world where each individual can find personal happiness, spiritual fulfillment, and inner peace while still being an active and caring member of society. The great saints and mystics have always maintained that this vision of the world is not just a dream. Through God's grace and our own dedicated efforts, we definitely can make it a reality.
The great saint Sandarshan Singh Ji Maharaj would say that love is the only commodity which increases when we give it away. You know, we give a cup of sugar to our neighbor, we have that much less sugar in our own homes. But when we give love to our neighbor, the reservoir of love within ourselves expands.
Sant Rajinder Singh Ji Maharaj, with deep humility and gratitude to his own spiritual masters, wishes to share freely with all humanity the meditation technique which he learned from them. A technique which he believes will help develop inner and outer peace and help manifest here on earth the divine love which is our birthright.
Maharaji, every religious tradition, every great religious tradition talks about getting into that silence, that meditation, whether it's Kabbalah meditation or whether it's Tai Chi or whether it's the meditation that was given to us by Indian sages and seers, Buddhist meditation. But it's not that easy, you know, to get inside because we are sailing the uncharted seas of spirituality. And you need a mentor and a guide to walk us through this. And many times we don't find a proper guide. So there goes, how do we get into meditation if we don't have a proper guide to take us within?
You know, just like when we learn something else, we need some kind of a teacher. You go to school whether you want to learn English or Hindi or maths or sciences, you need someone to teach you. And when you get a teacher, you're not looking at the teacher and saying, he's a Christian or a Jew or a Hindu, I'll study from him, I won't study from him. Because the person is good at whatever they teach, that's why we gain from them. So similarly on the spiritual path, we need to get guidance. You know, without guidance, the intricacies of our journey would never get clarified to us. And once we are trying to take steps towards God, then God, through God's own means, provides ways and means that we can find the right guide. You know, it's like if we have a passion to know God, and it is always said when we take one step towards God, God takes 1,000 steps in our direction. And so the circumstances in our life will become such that we will be able to reach God through some means. And those means are actually provided by the Lord. And when those means come in our life, we need to make good use of those means. And even though it might seem very difficult to be able to meditate, everything becomes easy with practice. If we think that just like this, we can have nirvana, then I think we are living in a dreamland. Everything takes practice and time, and just like, you know, you can't have a child go and read books of college. You know, they need to go to the schooling, they get there, they learn, and based on their foundation, the whole building can be made. Similarly, in the spiritual arena too, one of the basic things we need is to first build an ethical base.
Yes.
Our life needs to be truthful. We need to be non-violent in thought, word, and deed. We need to live with love. We need to live with humility. We need to live a life of purity. We need to be full of compassion. We need to be helping and caring. That's an ethical base which is very, very important. Now, that's not the goal. That's just a base. That's a stepping stone to spirituality. Once we have that base, then as we sit in silence, we can then tune in to what is called the holy word or the Naam or the Shabd, the divine current of light and sound which emanated from the Creator. And it is that connection which happens in stillness. You know, generally, if two people are talking, then if one stops talking, then only the other person can listen.
Sure.
But if both of them are talking, then we can't listen. And if we are talking ourselves, then we don't get anything from someplace. So it's the same thing is happening with us as human beings. We are so involved in the day-to-day activities of the world that we're chattering, and we don't sit down to hear the voice of the Lord. The voice of the Lord is always calling us. So when we sit in silence, when we bring our sensory currents within ourselves, then we can connect with the divine power within. And then it opens up as divine light and divine sound of the Lord.
So can we strengthen our intuition through that? Because intuition is that inner voice.
Intuition is the inner voice. We can strengthen that with time. You know, intuition happens at the level of our mind, and meditation or knowing ourselves is much more deeper. It happens at the level of our soul.
Maharajji, your organization, Science of Spirituality, spreads this mission of peace and harmony, unity and diversity. And what type of meditation techniques do you teach or your devotees teach?
We use the meditation techniques which are meditation on the divine light and sound of God. We feel that the divine power within ourselves has two primal manifestations, that being the divine light and the divine sound. So we have various techniques of being able to connect with the divine light within. And the key is to still the body and to still the mind. One of the easiest forms of meditation called Jyoti meditation.
Okay, it's light meditation.
Jyoti means light, so it's light meditation. It's a form in which we sit in a quiet place. We can be in our home, we can be in our office, we could be any area. The atmosphere needs to be quiet. If it's quiet, then our sense of hearing would be withdrawn. We sit down, we can sit on a chair, we can sit on the floor, we can sit in any manner, so that we don't have to be in a certain pose, but this is a purely spiritual practice. Then we close our eyes, just like we close our eyes normally when we go to sleep. Our eyeball should be focused straight right in front of us. And then as we close our eyes, to still our mind, we repeat some name of God mentally. So after closing our eyes, if we do a mental repetition of God's name, whatever name of God we feel comfortable with, we'll find that our mind would be focused towards God and would not send thoughts to us. And it is in that situation, when our body is stilled and our mind is stilled, that we start to connect with light within. In the beginning, it might seem like flashes of light, circles of light, lights of various colors. But with time, the lights seem as if they're stable light. So what actually is happening is the light is not coming from the outside, it's coming from within ourselves. And so when we are focused more and more, when you're concentrated more and more, the lights seem to be stable. And so with time and practice, as the concentration improves, the lights stabilize and we go beyond the lights to a sky full of stars, and a moon and a sun, and then many, many other vistas within. So this is a simple meditation technique, and if you would try that, or your listeners would try that, I'm sure if they could sit for about half an hour, not only are they going to be peaceful in that time, but they'll find that the joy and peace that they found in that time is going to linger on during the day. And this is why a lot of people who meditate in the morning. So that you start the day with meditation, you started with good peaceful vibrations and joyous and happiest vibrations within yourselves, and then that then radiates from you all day long, so that your environment is charged with harmony, love and joy.
But how the biggest, I think, blockage is our mind itself that creates the the wall between us and our higher self. So how do we still that mind?
You know, to still the mind is where this repetition of God's name come into play. You know, the mind is like mercury. Those of you, if you've gone to a lab, you'll see them. If you put mercury in a test tube, it's never still. It's always moving a little bit. So you can't totally stop the mind, because even if you sit down for a couple of seconds, you'll be bombarded by thoughts. So we befriend the mind. We don't fight with it. We make a friend of the mind. And then we tell the mind, because the mind has this characteristic of repeatability.
Yes.
That it can repeat things. So we use that characteristics and we have it repeat God's name. So when it starts to repeat God's name, its attention will go into that repetition and not into sending thoughts. And at least it is in that state of no thoughts that we connect with the light.
But we do not have to control our breathing or any of that sort.
No, the breathing can go independently, because right now as we are talking, we are not worried about how our breaths are coming. We're not worried about how the blood is circulating or how our heart is beating. These are physical phenomena in the body. And so in this meditation technique, we let the body function normally. We don't change the breathing, we don't change the heartbeats, we don't change the flow of our blood. We keep that normal, but we focus on what are called the sensory currents. You know, we, through our sense of sight and hearing and smell and taste and touch, are interacting with the world outside. And so those currents we bring in so that our attention would be off from the world outside, and we can collect all our sensory currents here at the seat of the soul, so that we can have the spiritual experience of ourselves.
And Maharaj, I believe that even brain waves, they've done some trial clinical studies in that in the laboratories, that when we meditate, there's a change in a pattern of our brain waves. They calm down.
Yeah, generally, our brain waves are working at a frequency between 16 to 20 hertz. Now, when we meditate properly, we can bring our brain waves down to the range of 4 to 8 hertz, or 8 cycles per second. So with the brain waves working slowly, there's an effect of calmness in the whole body. And this is why people feel so relaxed after they've had a meditative session.